With the fourth pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Anthony Richardson, quarterback, Florida.
So, Anthony Richardson,
See that moment, Vinny, when you realize the people who work with you don't love you, they don't care about you, just trying to make you look bad, bring up all your freezing cold takes.
I think you did that all on your own.
I did that to myself. I did it to myself. I was eager to tell, Connor Rogers. Connor, what are you talking about? Oh, wait, yeah. Oh, you got it. On the money. Not only was Anthony Richardson drafted 4th overall, Connor said he's not going to get out of that top 5. He didn't. Not only was he drafted 4th overall, Jim Irsay said, hey, listen, if we had the first pick, we would have considered him at number 1. And I think he's telling the truth. What was it about Anthony Richardson that you saw, that Irsay saw, that others saw, that I didn't see and I still fail to see? What is it about that guy that lands him where he is today as the soon-to-be franchise quarterback of the Colts, meaning soon as in could be as soon as September or October?
Unique traits, Michael. There's just not a lot of guys built like this, and not just the stature, which is very, very unique at over 240 pounds, 6'4", 6'5". Great speed, downfield speed, explosiveness, but the way he is mentally built as well. This is a tough dude. This is a focused dude. He's going to put in the time to maximize those unique traits and skills. He's got bigger arm than anybody in this draft. He's got the highest rushing floor by a mile. And when you look at the Colts, knowing that Chris Ballard, they didn't need a quarterback the year Josh Allen was a prospect, but knowing what Chris Ballard thought of Josh Allen that year, when I watched Richardson at Florida, sure, it was a limited sample size at college, I saw a lot of similarities to Wyoming Josh Allen, and just knew the Colts in the AFC, where everybody's got a star quarterback, they're going to take their big swing for the fences. And I agree. I believe them. I think they would have done this even earlier.
It's funny you mentioned Josh Allen, and you kind of took the question right away from me, Connor. But Josh Allen's big thing coming into the NFL was accuracy, right? Same thing with Anthony Richardson. So in terms of scouting or player development, has the NFL felt like they figured something out in terms of, if accuracy is the thing that we can't fix, maybe we figured out a way to maximize the strong arm and not worry about the timing or whatever it is, whatever the intricacies on accuracy is? Or do they feel like they fixed it in terms of quarterbacking and player development? Is it something that they figured out that they hadn't in previous generations?
I think it's multi-layered. I think the sport has changed where the explosive play matters so much. And Richardson's deep throwing, which was elite, and his running, which was elite, buys him time where you can live with the short area deficiencies right now. And that's something we've seen with some quarterbacks in the league. We saw it with Josh Allen early on. He was not a star from day one, but his ability to scramble, run a little bit, throw down the field allowed him to have the time to develop that short and intermediate accuracy. Same thing with Lamar Jackson. Lamar's unique running ability and ability to throw down the field bought him time to develop as an intermediate thrower as well. And those guys are now star quarterbacks in this league. And with Richardson, the one thing that is really nice to see in his game is it's not that he can't do it. It's not that there are mental hiccups or layers. It's just mechanical. He needs to play with his base and tie his base to his shoulders and eyes. And it's not laziness. It's more just that some things are so easy to certain athletes like him that you forget that you do have to stay locked into your mechanics. So I think they're going to work to clean up that aspect of his game. And when you look at Shane Steichen coming over from Philadelphia, what he's been able to do with Jalen Hurts and the growth Jalen Hurts has been able to show, and his work ethic is pretty special, so it's not surprising. But they probably look at Richardson and go, man, if we turn him into 75% of the thrower that Hurts is, but he's an even better, more explosive, bigger-bodied runner, he's going to be pretty special in the offense that we want to run.
Connor and Vinny, I love the what-if game. So let's play along for a second. I want to ask you this, and I want to ask you about some other teams in their draft. Let's say Anthony Richardson doesn't go at 4, and Seattle is there at 5. Does Seattle take him? I'm wondering where he would go next. Seattle was at 5. Arizona had already dropped down. They're at 6. They probably don't take a quarterback since they dropped down. They have Kyler Murray. The Raiders, the Falcons. Where do you think he would have landed if the Colts had some reason said, nah, we don't want Anthony. We don't want Anthony Richardson. We want the best pass rusher. Or we'll take Jalen Carter here or something like that.
I think it would have been a conversation for Seattle. They wanted to improve their team as much as they could. They loved Devin Witherspoon. I think they were pleasantly surprised, that he was going to be there or very content with him being there. Seattle would have answered the phone more, I think, on trade calls if Richardson was there. You have to wonder who would want to flip upwards. I'm sure Tennessee really, really valued his trade, so they would come to mind for me. I don't think he'd get past that cluster of Atlanta and Vegas just because they're not set at quarterback. They could have taken him and sat him for the year. He's going to need a little bit of time, so they would have been comfortable with that. But Richardson's slide got greatly exaggerated throughout this process because the talent was just too good to pass up on. And we saw that with the Colts. And you look at the price the Texans paid to go into 3 to get Will Anderson. It goes to show you what Arizona was charging just to get into that slot and what it would have cost for a team to come up in front of the Colts to get Richardson as well. So he was highly valued as a top 8 to top 10 pick in this draft for a long, long time.
Favorite draft team? Who was it? Who did the best draft for you?
It's the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, it really is. I mean, you look at Jackson Smith and Jigba now as their number 3 wide receiver. You look at getting a number 1 corner in Devin Witherspoon. They got a lot of value across the board as well, deeper into the draft. They got Anthony Bradford, one of the best run blockers at guard. They took Olu with Timmy from Michigan, tons of starting experience at center throughout college. So they shored up the interior of their offensive line. They got a guy with the ceiling of number 1 wide receiver that'll be their number 3 wide receiver. They got a shutdown man-to-man corner that plays with an edge to his game. I absolutely loved what Seattle did. And on the AFC side, it's the Steelers. They just became a tougher football team. Broderick Jones on offensive line, they needed to tackle. They were proactive about going up and getting him. They got Joey Porter Jr., a long press corner. Keanu Benton is going to play nose tackle and 3-tech for their defensive line. He's a great run stuffer with some pass rush upside. And then Darnell Washington, I thought he was a top 20 player in the draft. They got him really late at 93. That's insane to me. Now they have 2 tight end sets of Darnell Washington and Pat Freiermuth. In a division that it's really, really tough to stay alive with all that competition, the Steelers knocked this one out of the park.
Now, you just talked about the teams that you love. I have a colleague at Yahoo Sports that gave the Lions an F, and if I were giving them, I would have given them an F minus because I give the Lions Fs for everything. I'll divorce myself from the Lions, Connor. Don't worry about it. It's been 23 years since I've done it, so I'm Detroit, but I'm not the Lions. Okay, did the Lions have as bad of a draft as some people thought with trading down? I feel like they traded twice in the draft, but traded out of 6 to get to 12, and then taking a running back and then trading DeAndre Swift to Philly. Like, how did you view them before the weekend compared to how you viewed them coming out of the weekend?
It's really tough to go through, right? Because there's the context of, did they reach on a couple of slots? Absolutely. Did they take positions that have lost value in the eyes of the NFL in this era of running back and off-ball linebacker in the first round? Sure, but they walked away with really good players, guys. Honestly, if I'm going to nitpick anything from this draft, it's taking Sam Laporta over Michael Mayer. That's the one head-scratcher that I couldn't get on board with, and Laporta's still a solid player. But if you put Brian Branch in that first-round conversation and swap him out with Jack Campbell, and you just flip their draft slots, I'm fine with this draft. Brian Branch is a great player, gives them stability on the back end. When you have Jack Campbell, he was my top linebacker, and that's a big need for them. It was not a great draft. You know what they did? They looked at Jahmyr Gibbs and said, he's a great player in a not-so-great draft. There's probably 8 non-quarterbacks in this draft that can be true difference makers, and they grabbed one. And listen, they reached a little bit, but that doesn't mean it was a bad draft. I think they got 4 starters in this draft class, and that alone is a win for them. For a roster that is already pretty good. That's not to disappoint you guys here, but I didn't react to the Lions draft the way many did, and I think in 3 years it'll be a different context and view of this draft class.
I'm so glad you said that. I love Brian Branch, just the position that he plays. I feel like there are going to be a lot more players like that in college football. The coaches are going to value that more. A guy who can play in the slot, but also to defend wide receivers in the slot, but also play safety. But I like the way you said it. The draft is, it's just a matter of who do I want? That's the number one thing you got to ask yourself before you even make a draft pick. You got to have that conversation on Monday before the draft starts on Thursday. Who do we like in this draft and how do we get them? So they clearly, Connor and Vinny, they liked Gibbs. It sounds like they like Gibbs more than they like Bijan Robinson, which is interesting. But they like Gibbs.
That's really
they
interesting.
Like Branch. They like right. They like Campbell, and shockingly, they like Laporta over Mayer. Clearly, and they got their guys. And I like what Brad Holmes had to say. Tell me if you agree with this, Connor. Holmes said, "Hey, when I first looked at Campbell, I thought, hey, traditional, middle linebacker type, plug the hole. But the more I watched him, he's extremely athletic. He can do a lot more than the things people describe him of doing. And so that's why he's such a fit for us." You agree that he has some athleticism that your traditional run thumper, run stuffer doesn't have?
Wait, they're
Absolutely.
forced to win the NFC? Hold on. I'm sorry, Connor. Let
You're
you
back?
get back to there. Never. No, hell no. Never. I'll never be back. I quit. I quit those toxic relationships a long time ago. But they're fourth? In the NFC, fourth one, it's Vegas high? What am I missing here?
It's a bad conference. That's what it has to be.
Okay,
and
I'll
a
take
good
that.
team. And a good team, Vinny.
Yeah.
You'll be back. You'll be back.
Go ahead, Connor. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was
good.
I had a heart attack. Elizabeth, I was coming home to you.
Listen, when you look at Jack Campbell, I mean, there's just not a lot of bad tape of him, and that's hard at the linebacker position. And then he goes out to the combine, and he's an elite tester. He really is. I think what people got mixed up, especially when you're carrying almost 250 pounds in an era where most linebackers are 235, 230, especially at the college level, it looks a little bit different. But he ran good enough at the 40 and then was elite at just about everything else. The agility with him, the ability to drop in zone coverage and read the quarterback's eyes and make a play on the football, the sideline to sideline speed, but of course the ability to come downhill and be a thumper. And that's a lost art in today's game that Campbell still has. And the Lions, that defense got, really ran on a lot last year, and they just had enough of it. And you had Campbell and Branch, arguably two of the best run defenders in the entire draft. That shows me that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are in sync. A coaching staff and a front office that are in sync to address their needs, and the kind of players that are going to have success there goes a long way. And it's paid off already for the Lions during the Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell era.
I'm just shocked on this whole Lions at number 4 odds thing doing. Like that hasn't been the reality of that franchise. And the last time that the Lions were actually picked to do something, I think they went 0-16. I think that's when that was.
They're good now, though. They are. I like the. They are. By the way, Vinny, I don't know if you know, they are the official team, a brother from another. The Detroit Lions. We are on board. We're gonna start saying we. We finished 9-8 last year. We prevented the Packers. We prevented the Packers from going to the playoffs in the final game of the season, and we have addressed our needs sufficiently. Is there any, Connor? Before we let you go, is there any? Or I know there's probably more than one. Teams that you looked at them, and even in retrospect, you go, I just don't know what they were thinking with the draft. I've had a night or two to think about it, and it just doesn't make sense the way they handled their draft choices. Who would that team or who would those teams be?
I think it has to be the 49ers, and maybe it doesn't matter because they're so well coached and their roster is good, but imagine sitting there all week. You don't have a pick until the third round. I understand they took Jair Brown, the safety from Penn State, first in the third round, but then you take a kicker with a top 100 pick. Listen, kicker in the top 100 is never good business. I don't care how good the kicker prospect is, and he's not an elite kicker prospect. He's just a good one, Jake Moody. I just look at that and go, man, you could have gotten really good depth there on the offensive or defensive line. There was some starters available at other positions. I don't like that strategy at all, and I despise it when you didn't have a first or second round pick to begin with. Kicker before round 6, guys, you'll be on my losers list immediately.
Well, I guess you got the Patriots on your losers list too, because they took 2 kickers. They took a kicker and a punter. Took a kicker.
But they did
took
win.
A kicker in the 4th round. Win. In the 4th round, no.
Yeah,
4th round on their
It was
kicker,
bizarre. And they traded up for
6th round on their punter.
They traded up for that kicker.
Yeah. And listen, Hey, every position matters. See, I'm not one of these, don't take this guy. Well, except for long snapper. Long snapper,
you have a line. Yeah.
But then again, the Patriots have drafted a long snapper too. Look, hey, when you win championships, Bill Belichick has gotten away with a lot of stuff. When you win championships, people stop asking questions. He has done some really crazy stuff with his draft picks. Drafting kickers, punters. He has drafted kickers, punters, long snappers, and gunners. He has drafted gunners. I don't know. But got 6 championships, so all the rest of us can just sit down somewhere because I guess he knows what he's doing. You also, Connor Rogers, know what you're doing. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for stopping by. And you just have to let me know what the bet payoff is. I mean, you want a great, I can get you a great wedding present.
Just trust me.
No. You get
I
a
trust
dinner
you.
out of that
I
dude.
trust you.
No, you get something from him.
Hey, man, he's about to
We'll
get
work on
married.
it.
You tell me where you register. Uncle Michael will take care of it.
My man.
Get you a nice, that nice present that everybody was like, wait a minute. No, let me go down another tier. They asking for that? Woo.
Oh,
I'll get you. I'll get you that
You getting
one.
married, man? My condolences.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Connor Rogers, appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Later, guys.
You didn't just say my condolences on a wedding announcement, did you?
Oh, that was good.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.